Vegas and the Warriors' 128-111 win over the Hawks last night. We might have found out why he looked so well rested, with teammate Jordan Bell catching KD, Boogie, and Draymond all sleeping. Team Bucks, mouths wide open.
Well, not Boogie. KD, yes, and Draymond. But Draymond, C.
Yeah, but there's people that sleep with their mouth open. My problem is not sleeping with your mouth open. It's when you're having conversations and you're on the bench in the game.
Some people are mouth breathers, so they're just like.
Nothing more.
But C kills Draymond on this. That he's just every picture of Draymond we had. What's he like, C?
His mouth's open and sometimes his lips is ashy. I mean, I can do ashy, but just not open and ashy, okay?
Open and ashy.
Yeah.
That's a mean combination.
Okay.
Look at that. See, they're finally in sync. Yeah, poor guys.
Quite enough, KD. All right, let's move on to the Eastern Conference. Toronto is way out in front, 20-5, and according to Vegas, that's where they will stay. Vegas has the Raptors as the favorites to come out of the East. Behind them, my Boston Celtics, the Bucks, and the Sixers. Richard, which Eastern Conference team is best set up for this season, and maybe even beyond?
You're Boston. You're Boston Celtics, I believe. Now, Toronto is...
You need to know the story.
Please.
I mean, you and her have history.
Yes.
Jenna Wolf, at a very, very young, impressionable age.
Yes.
Danny Ainge, number 44.
44.
Had a huge impact. She had the poster up in the room, so we're still getting Danny Ainge takes today based on that. So
I understand he has 300 grandchildren.
I grew up in Phoenix, so watching Danny Ainge with Charles Barkley and all of those guys and coach that team, I remember when he played. And coach the team with Jason Kidd. And so, look, I'm a Danny Ainge fan also. For me,
She thinks he's handsome.
All right, Nick.
Okay. Well, you know, that's for another time. No, but I really think that Boston, hopefully they can figure this out. And I'm not saying that they're not in the Houston mode, but they're not even close to being able, or they're not even close to being the team that they should be. Toronto, but understand, Toronto, were they the number 1 seed last year? They were the number 1 seed. They've been a top 4 seed the last 3 years. Now, Kawhi's different. They have a different coach, and LeBron is gone. And LeBron is gone. But at the same point in time, I just don't know if they have enough talent to go 7-game series against Boston. I just don't know.
Here's my concern for Boston, and you tell me if this is too of an antiquated way to look at the league. That is, take Golden State out of it. How much confidence does having the best guy on the court give you?
A lot.
And in a playoff series in particular?
Yes.
All right, if they play Toronto, who's the best guy on the court?
Kawhi Leonard.
If they play Milwaukee, who's the best guy on the court?
Ooh, Kawhi.
No, I'm sorry, Boston plays. Boston plays.
Boston. Oh,
Giannis. Philly plays Boston, who's the best guy on the court?
This is complicated questions. It's
Embiid. No, it's whoever Boston plays. They are the best My point was my problem with
30 IQ points too high that we don't even need it. But go ahead, dog.
All right, my problem for Boston is in any of those series, they will not have the best guy on the court.
Yeah, but they might have 2 through 6.
Yeah.
They might have 2 through 6 because Kyrie on any given night can be the best player in the NBA, not just the best player on that court. Jason Tatum, you've seen what he's capable of doing. Jaylen Brown, and then you have guys like Al Horford and Terry Rozier, and Gordon Hayward is starting to get into his own. You saw him coming off the bench having 35 and 9, and so I agree with you. But who's the second best player for Toronto?
Kyle Lowry.
Who's the third best player for Toronto?
Maybe, I don't know.
Just maybe, I don't know. Because this is what I think. What's I saying? Kawhi is great, but he's not KD great. He's not LeBron James great, where it's like, no matter what you do, you saw when KD and him went head-to-head what happened, right? Like KD,
but he's better than anybody Boston's got. And I don't know that Brad Stevens, as great as Brad Stevens is, I don't know that he gets the most out of great players.
But can you say that Toronto can beat Boston if Kawhi Leonard has a 6 for 18 night?
No.
So you're telling me that Kawhi is going to have games to do that in a series against Boston, where anybody on Boston can have an off night and one of the other guys can go and have 25.
That's one of the questions Nick and I have about Brad Stevens. We have a lot of confidence in him. We love what he does. Out of bounds, dead ball stuff. stuff, he's actually amazing. This is the best talent he's ever had. Now, his brand is not the most talent, right? John Wooden, he made it. People talk about UCLA, but he coached great players. Coach K coaches great players. There's people like Bobby Knight and maybe Brad Stevens that they are best when the talent is not the elite talent. They are stacked and seeing them struggle, because last year we wondered, what are they going to do when they get these two other superstars back? Does that concern you?
It concerns me a little bit just because you've seen his linear growth as a coach, and he's been getting better every single year. And Steve Kerr said, he's like, yo, this is the real NBA when they were dealing with a little bit of drama and a little bit of adversity. So now here we have Boston, right? This was a team that everyone hands down was like, oh, Golden State might have it for 1 or 2, but the next team is going to be Boston for 3 to 5 after that with the amount of talent that they've accumulated. And so I just personally think that Brad Stevens and Boston need to figure this out, because I don't really like it right now. The way
their
playing,
offense is terrible.
Yeah, they're looking like they're still searching, but understandably.
Yeah, I got another question for you.
Please, I'm here.
Kyrie Irving. Nick and I watched Kyrie Irving. We've seen him play a couple times live. I'm a little concerned about his body. He doesn't necessarily look as... He's never been a muscular guy, but he just looks a little bit smaller. And I just worry about the inconsistencies in his game. There's not a lot of players in the league who have the type of talent he has and are as inconsistent as we've seen with him. What are you seeing with Kyrie Irving?
Well, understand that Kyrie is entering into a new kind of job right now, where it's like now all of this talent, he's still the point guard. I know he's in the Brad Stevens offense, which doesn't make him have to create for everyone, but he's still coming off of a knee injury, right? So he's coming off of something that he had that made him miss the last part of the season. So then all of a sudden during the summer, he builds up slowly. If you look at when we were able to win a championship in Cleveland, the first 25 games, Kyrie wasn't great because he was coming off the injury from the finals the year before. Yeah. He only averaged 19 points a game, which for him is low. The next year he averaged 25. But when you look at it, it took Kyrie almost the whole season to get to himself. So I don't worry about Kyrie. Do I worry about his health? Do I want him to be healthy? Yes. But give me Kyrie in game 83 and he'll be where he needs to be. Very similar to Gordon Hayward. You know, that was a little different type of injury, but it takes a while to get back to your elite self.
I like the fact that with all the teams sort of bunched up in the top of the East, you still feel like Boston will somehow figure it out. You know, the knock on them is that they have too much talent. They don't know how to all work together. But you keep saying, but they'll figure it out. What does that mean? They'll figure it out. I mean, how is Brad Stevens suddenly going to get these guys to have to take all that talent and work together somehow to get themselves up from where they are right now?
I'm a firm believer if you have good people and you have good characters around you, and you have a coach that believes in the individuals. Now, we haven't really heard any drama. We haven't heard any drama in Boston.
Except for maybe a little from Terry Rozier.
Yeah, a little bit, but that's give me, and I like Terry Rozier a lot, but just give me a talented group of guys that are trying to figure it out. Kyrie was like, man, we need like a 15-year veteran around here to kind of make sure everyone's just relaxed. I just believe that Brad Stevens is a very good coach. They have very good talent, and very similar to the Golden State Warriors, when they're locked in and like, all right, guys, it don't matter how we get it done. We just need to go get it done. I think there's very few teams that know how to raise their level.
Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but here's where it does matter. Home court, we saw how much it mattered to Boston last year. They didn't lose a home game in the playoffs until LeBron baptized them in Game 7 last year. Yeah. And they right now are looking up in the standings at all the teams we're talking about. We haven't even discussed Philly, who just added Jimmy Butler. Meanwhile, I understand Horford's a really good player. Joel Embiid, by this postseason, will have figured out what Horford's doing to him. We haven't talked about Milwaukee much, who, with respect to your teammate Jason Kidd, was a much better point guard than he was head coach, and Milwaukee got drastically better at the coaching position this year, and now all of a sudden they look defensively and offensively like the team they could have. I don't think Boston can beat any of the top teams in the East if they don't have home court. And right now, it gets late pretty early if you're trying to get one of the top 3 seeds in the East. That's
I think Philly is the one X factor. I think Philly, if they're locked in and they're playing well with Jimmy Butler on your team and knocking down shots, I think they could be the sneak team.
Richard, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
My pleasure. When do I get to come back?
Great insight.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow? He's like, oh, I'm sorry, that's not going to work.
I'll see you guys tomorrow.
We're back after this. Urban Meyer stepping down at Ohio State. That's the big news this morning. We'll break that down next on First Things First.
Aeneas Williams says hello.
Please tell myself.
And don't come back tomorrow.
their shooting ability, their strength in numbers, depth, all that. So they would be, I don't think they would be done. If Durant goes to the Lakers, I think he and LeBron would be unbeaten. But if he goes somewhere else, then I think, let's say he goes to the Clippers. I think the Clippers, I think the Lakers, I think the Warriors. Like, you'd have several elite teams that could win it. So I don't think the Warriors will be done if Durant leaves. And I think Kobe is competitive. And I know he probably wishes he could have competed against that Warriors team, like when he was in his prime and some of his great teams. But look, unless the Lakers get that second guy, they're not winning the championship.
So is it possible Kobe's coming out of retirement to play for this team? Is that what he's saying?
No,
You know a lot of people in LA think that. Do you really? No,
I don't. I don't.
You saw the last 3 years before he retired.
I did. Well, his
He
body
can come out of
broke down.
retirement for like a game or two.
So you always have to be leery when a superstar, an ex-superstar, is at a team event featuring season ticket holders and he's speaking to he's preaching to the choir, right? Because he's being interviewed by a Laker broadcaster, speaking to the fans, and he's telling them exactly what they want to hear. Now, have I been impressed with this Laker team? Do I think this Laker team could shock this world this year? I give it a long shot chance, way more than I did. Before the year, I gave it no chance. But I just want to say a couple of quick things. This team is 9th in defensive efficiency, and I thought it was playing no defense in the preseason. And LeBron James, let me finish. To his point, because I always rub it in, LeBron finished last year 318th in defensive individual win shares. He's 30th right now. So he is playing some defense. He is committing to both ends of the floor. In fact, it's taking a little away from his offense because his PER is way low for his career numbers. He's 8th in PER. Usually he's battling for 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Three. So he is sacrificing some offense to commit to the defensive end. I don't know if that's magic whisper in his ear. I don't know if Luke is challenging. I don't know. Maybe he just took it upon himself to say, we can't do this unless I show these kids how to play defense. And Kuzma is responsible.
Remember how poorly they started the year defensively. So over the last, after the first So the Wild West, the Deep West, has suddenly turned into the weird West. Have issues where I didn't know Jimmy Butler. I didn't know how that's going to play out with the T-Wolves. Are they still pretty good? Yeah, they're still pretty good. And they waxed Houston last night. Held Houston at 29 points in the second half. And now Houston's got all kinds of issues going on. They can't defend anymore. They lost their defensive sort of identity. And I look at my Spurs. They lost DeJounte Murray. They don't have a point guard. So
No, they lost Kawhi. Because Kawhi did it.
No, if they had DeJounte Murray, trust me, they would be a playoff team. But I told you before the year, that's a huge loss because he was an elite defender at point guard.
See, the difference is, if they had DeJounte Murray, they'd be a playoff team. They had Kawhi, they'd be a
I have no idea who you're talking about.
You do.
I did notice that.
That's unnecessary, Skip.
It's not
20 and 5 now. 20 and 5.
They lost to the
Harris and Jokic have a triple-double, too. But Skip, the thing that concerns me about the Lakers is two things. Glaring, and they're glaring. And they happen on a nightly basis. Free throw shooting and turnovers.
Glad you brought that up. LeBron's now down to 71%, 3%.
Skip, I'm trying to make a point.
He bet me another case.
Skip, I'm trying to
that he's going to be 80 plus.
Skip, I'm trying to make.
Why do you do that?
Skip, I'm trying to make a
Your
point.
pride just gets the best of
I'm
you
trying to
every
make a
time.
point right here.
Okay, go ahead.
No, why they can't be serious contenders. You can't turn the ball over 15, 20. One night they had 24 turnovers. They shoot as a team. They shoot 56%, 60% sometimes on a nightly basis from the free throw line. You can't be a serious contending team with those two glaring issues on a nightly basis. It's just not
You do though believe, right? They could be, as Skip was saying about the West, it's the best.
Oh, they could be
They could be like at the 2 or 3 seed. Whether it's the second best record in the West, who knows? Because I don't really care about the second best record in the West. That doesn't mean you're the second best team.
Right.
But I do think they have as good a shot as anybody else in the West of getting to the conference final.
Yeah.
If they can avoid Golden State
in the
early
first and
round,
second round, yeah.
who's better? Like, I mean, I would pick them over Denver. in the playoffs, I would pick them.
Close.
I certainly picked them
Close
over.
call.
Well, but LeBron should be the difference.
LeBron.
He should be.
He should be the difference.
In that matchup, I agree.
And
He
we-
is by far the best player on
And we
the
do
court.
the
Now,
we do the
Denver's
Grizzlies.
got depth. They got a lot of nice, pretty good players, and they got one real good.
Has that impressive, I'm gonna take over, right?
What happened here at Staples? Lance came in and just took that game over.
Stop saying that.
Well,
LeBron
he did.
That's
He did
super
not.
love.
I'm sorry, Lance took that game.
And you know we do what you call them. We do the Clippers. Do it.
They gonna
Well,
they'll be better at
wait a
the
second.
end of the day than
The
the Clippers.
Clippers are 16-7, tied for the top spot in the West.
And the Grizzlies.
What did I
The
tell you
Grizzlies
before the
will be
year
done.
started?
Yeah, you did.
LeBron's team is going to be the second best team in LA.
Never
Do
happened.
you think at the end of the year the Clippers will be better than the Lakers?
I think they got a shot
Like in
because
the
they're
playoffs?
so deep. And hey, Tobias Harris is going to be an all-star.
He got a great
He's
shot.
playing.
He was Western Conference Player of the Month.
You know what?
Yeah.
I watched the whole game last night. They were at New Orleans, and New Orleans is pretty tough at home.
Julius Randle.
They got him. They got him in the end.
Julius
And
Randle was
Lou
unbelievable.
Williams is.
Oh, yeah.
And Gallinari.
Williams comes in and just he's making shots. Where I said, how's that go in?
No,
Okay,
He got a great-
that's what they got.
He might got second greenest like the Steph Curry.
He might.
But I mean, how many times have we seen a team without a superstar go deep in the playoffs? It just rarely happens.
Yep.
Rarely.
Got it. Gilgeous Alexander.
Yeah,
We had Doc on the show talking about it's a long 6-point.
Okay.
Legit long.
Okay, Skip, at the end of the day, all that sounds good, and Doc did an unbelievable job.
He's done a great
Doc,
job.
Doc, is good, and Doc came on the show, Chris.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable.
Yep.
But which one of those teams got LeBron and which one doesn't? Because that's the team that's going to go furthest in the playoffs.
Well, the Lakers got LeBron at the free throw line late in the game.
Oh, my
I don't
goodness,
know.
Skip, stop!
What, isn't that a
He's
liability?
shooting them better by then.
Oh, really?
He will be shooting better. Not 80%, but he'll be shooting better.
But didn't I just bring up